What's happening, guys? Thrylos International, and we are back. There was no game this weekend, but we still have a lot to talk about. There's been a whole lot of drama this week, especially regarding the transfer situation at Olympiacos. We're going to take a little bit of we're going to have a little discussion about that. We're also going to look now at the standings because the table hasn't shaken up much, but things are still progressing in a direction that we need to talk about. Champions League coming up as well, Bayer Leverkusen, but that's not really the thing that's on everybody's minds. What's going on in everybody's heads right now is how the team is going to get bolstered after the disappointing loss in the Greek Cup earlier this week. But before we go ahead and talk about that, first, Costa, you're joining me today. How are you doing, buddy?
What's up, Ari? What's up, everyone? Good to be back on the English show after the Greek show resumed on Wednesday with Vangelis. That was good fun. Reminder to everybody that wants to check that out. Thrylos Padou will return also on Wednesday, the day after the Leverkusen game. Vangelis and I will be back. And good to be back with you, mate. It's been a while. Lots to talk about. I think the Bauk game obviously has created a bit of a shitstorm. And it's just, essentially one game into 2026 if you discount the Super Cup. So yeah, a lot of people are, some people are angry, some people are disappointed. I don't know if cool heads will prevail, but a lot will be determined by the outcome on Tuesday as well. That's an absolutely massive game. Our last game at home against Leverkusen, our last game at home in the Champions League this season. And we haven't won a game at home in the Champions League. Only won that one game away in freezing Kairat, where our co-host Dimitris Grimtidis went out there. If you haven't checked out the vlog, shameless plug, do go check out the vlog. Very, very good stuff picked up by Dimitris. Also, again, before we get into things, there was a great interview that Ari did with Nico Cantor, a secret, not so secret Olympiacos fan. He's a very well-known journalist on CBS Golasso who has come up with some rather hot takes, on an English-speaking media, of course. And, he's mentioned Olympiacos many times with great passion. And I thought that was really nice that we, managed to get him on the show. Very kind of him to join us. And as far as I know, he's out in Morocco now, following the AFCON final. So yeah, go and check that out as well. So lots of great stuff on Thrylos International and more coming your way.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Costa. And it was a great interview. We had a great chat with Nico. We also had the roundtable that went up about a week and a half ago with the guys from Forest Rio Ave. I wanted to thank you all for the great feedback. We got some great feedback from all the fan bases. So we're going to do it again. We're going to do another discussion with the Forest fans. We're going to do another discussion with Rio Ave as well at the end of the transfer window to talk about what's going on, because Edu's under fire. Everybody in the group, the entire transfer strategy has been under intense criticism. So we're going to get a look at that from everybody's lens. Now, for those of you that are tuning in now, see a couple of you, a couple dozen have already come in and out already. For those of you that are in here now, if you haven't done it already, smash that like button, because every engagement helps us find more red and white fans on the platform. If you like what you see, subscribe, ring the bell, or hit the bell for the notifications every time we go live or every time we introduce new content. And you can also support us on Patreon. So first and foremost, obviously, we would like to thank all of our patrons for their support. Your support means we can do bigger and better things, better analysis. It gives us access to things that we can also help better analyze the games to produce for you. All your support means better content, and that's what we try to do. For $1 a month, you can join the WhatsApp group. We give a lot of info we do not share on social media. And we also now are starting for content tier, which is $5 a month. We are now starting a transfer corner. So I recorded one this morning, didn't turn out well because I had really bad lag. So I'm doing it again. But we have inside info, some of which we're not allowed to share on socials, but we will share it for the patrons in the transfer corner. So consider checking that out, patreon.com/Thrylos7 International. So again, thank you to all of our patrons. And yes,
there's this comment here, right? It's like, okay,
yep,
do you have any inside info? But like Ari said, can't share it, some of it. So Patreon's a safe place. It's legit. Like, okay, we have our sources here and there, but yeah, that if that's any extra incentive for you to join the Patreon, my friend, that's a place where we can share a bit more info that we can't share publicly as easily.
Exactly. We will share some things, of course, during the show, but we will not be sharing some of the more sensitive information. The sensitive information will be for on Patreon, and you can check out the extra content for that or join the WhatsApp group. All of that is shared there. But we'll get into some transfer chat. Do not worry. Now, before, of course, we get into the first team, we first have to talk about the women's team. 11-0 again today. 81 goals on the season now, Costa. We threw a couple of graphics up. Naya Benjamin is on her way to 30 goals for the season. She's got 26 after this. She's very confident she's going to get more than 30. She thinks she can hit 40 this season. So good for her. She's absolutely destroying it. Everybody's doing well. We did a special recognition, a little post about one of the architects of the women's team, our team captain, and I believe she's one of the directors or the team manager, quote unquote, Kostadina Milona. She's made history by helping pull this together with, of course, Depi Koksenoglu and others from the Olympiacos administration who helped put this team together. And the team is clearly better than third division, man. You think if they score 100 goals, it's automatic promotion? Because it's ridiculous. I don't know if anybody in the history of women's football, especially in Gamet Niki, have scored this much in a single season. It's utterly insane.
It's getting ridiculous, actually. Every weekend you see the scoreline. It's like 10-0, 10-0, 10-0. And today it was 11. It's like last week I posted a meme on our socials of, Donald Duck sleeping and waking up. It's like, did the women score 10 goals? Like, yeah, go back to bed.
Exactly. It's just an expectation now. They're that good. You're just like, all right, how many? The jokes people have on socials too about it's like, we couldn't get everybody to score this game. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Just need to get the goalkeeper to score.
Seriously, does she even get does the goalkeeper even get any action, or does she just sit there? It's insane, man. But amazing for them. Congratulations to the women who are having an utterly ridiculous season.
Keep it up.
Yes, absolutely.
We want 10, like Tarifa every week. 10, please.
Exactly.
Give me more.
Exactly. We're all about it, man. 10 goals. Let them get to 100. I want to see Naya Benjamin get 40 goals. I want to see the women score 100. The Kostadina Milona has like 18 assists. It's ridiculous.
I think she's a center back too. I think she plays at the
back. She's a defender, which is also insane. Like, can you imagine? She had a Psalidaki also today, just like El Kabi. We put it up on socials. Insanity. Moving on though, the B team also won today. They won. They did not win.
They lost.
The U19s. Yeah, sorry, that's my mistake. That's my mistake. They lost today against Iliupoli, 1-0. And then the U19s drew 1-1. I believe that was against the Kifisia U19. So not a great day for the academies. The U19s actually was yesterday, but not a great day. But we move on. We do what we can. But going to the first team, Costa. There's been let's just get address the elephant in the room. The transfer situation, because of Panathinaikos going and signing Santino Andino after Ike went and got Barnabas Varga from Ferencváros, has now created what's the word I'm looking for? A perception of chaos, a perception of lack of strategy, a perception of a lack of work on the part of Olympiacos to bolster the squad, especially because it's now, as we're talking here on this live, it's the 18th of January, and it's the first time, at least in the history of Olympiacos, I can look at and recollect that we have not made a move yet in January. Now, there's reasons for that, which we'll get into, but people are panicking. They're seeing the moves done. Bach, we know, brought in Zafiris, who that was a deal that they had already done. Bach's making great work with their academy. They have academy kids that are playing, scoring, doing well. And then they came out and absolutely trashed us, Costa. I know you talked about it on the midweek show. We're not going to spend a lot of time discussing that. But you see all this. Mendilibar doesn't want any signings. He's blocking any new signings from coming in, at the very least until players leave. There's whispers about, I don't want to say whispers. There's assumptions being made about business about to be done because of comments in Greek media, more in along the lines of Danny Garcia, which we'll also talk about. So all of this has people panicking. How are you feeling right now with the situation, seeing what people are going? Just first thoughts before we dive into specifics.
I think that the level of our team has stayed the same, if not dipped, compared to last season, and the others are getting better or kind of in the process of improving. Balk had a slow start to the season. In general, I think Lucescu's teams like September, October, they're a little bit stunted. They take some time to get into gear. And a lot of this conversation is obviously sparked by that loss on the Wednesday. And while they beat us comfortably, and that's probably what kind of gets at me more than anything, is that I was watching that game and I was just thinking, we can play 180 minutes and we're not going to score. Whereas they were very, very efficient. The first goal was off of defensive mistake. We couldn't play the offside trap to save our lives, which is very worrying when you have defenders that have played with each other for such a long time. And then the second goal was beautiful. Like I think they've made 16 passes before getting the cross in, and that cut back from Zivkovic and the finish from Ozdoev was a fantastic goal. Nothing you can do about that. And we just look helpless, and that was really bothering. Like, that hurts my ego as an Olympiacos fan. It should hurt the ego of the players, everybody in the organization, the way we lost that game, hands down. In terms of like our transfers, I think it's more a question of how we utilize the squad, and this big conversation about Mendilibar and the fact that he has one style of play and there's no evolution. That is what it is. And when you're an organization, when you have a manager like that, all you can kind of do is refresh. Same kind of players, like the style of play is not going to change, but maybe the personnel needs to change. So I think if we clearly seen he doesn't like Cabella. Cabella's gone back to France. Yazic is probably on his way out as well. There's one thing that I think we haven't talked about a lot on the show, or isn't talked about enough, is how much we miss Kostoulas. In Europe, in Greece, everywhere. I think if you're asking me, was it a mistake to sell Kostoulas? No, I don't think it was a mistake to sell Kostoulas. We got a big fee, club record. So we didn't replace him, is the issue. And you can say he's irreplaceable. You can't find a like-for-like replacement or a player for 5 million, 6 million euros, which seems to be our ceiling in terms of what we've been willing to pay for a player. So then how do you replace that? And Chiquinho's been given that role this season. Nobody can take that away from him. But that's not his position, man. And one thing I've been thinking about a lot this week, because of like all the discussions we have on Patreon with Olympiacos fans everywhere, is what does Danny Garcia do better than Chiquinho? And why can't Chiquinho, particularly in Greece, just slot into that position in centre midfield, playing next to Mouzakidis? Then the question becomes, but you don't have a pressing second striker or a pressing 10. But then in my mind, I would play Yazici there. So it's so to me, it's yes. I think the transfer strategy from the summer has failed in terms of impact this season. It
Yes, this season.
some of those players might come good, like Nascimento, but I don't see a clear plan. Like even for him, what's the plan with Nascimento? Is he going to be Muzakidis replacement next season? Um, what Scipioni's disappeared, and you look at our starting 11, and who's new? Who's a new player in our team? It, it's the same. It's the same team. It hasn't changed. So we made signings with our eye on the future, but we didn't take care of the present. And that's a long answer to the question that you asked, but it's kind of trying to bring everything together.
So what I have seen a lot, not just in, of course, the WhatsApp group, but on socials, is that we've basically this whole situation stemming from the Pauk loss. Of course, that was the Pauk loss was basically the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the uproar, right? Because I think as long as we were still in each competition, staying in first place, we just went back into first after Ike's mishap. The cup loss finally brought forward some concerns that people had been having this season, which were elevating with the draws that we had, the points that we dropped ahead of the break, which saw us drop out of first place, and then until now. So we have there's basically two camps, right? The first camp is we are here because Mendilibar has made serious mistakes. There's a lot of that going around. He didn't register Remy Cabella or Yusuf Yazici in Europe. That's why we dropped points against Pafos, and we should have, had we had those players, we should have done better. Mendilibar chose to use Danny Garcia over and over and over again. Mendilibar is the one preventing guys like Stavros Bonidis from being used when we're not getting much out of our other wingers, and so on and so forth. That's one camp. We'll call it the blame. It's Mendilibar's fault camp. Then there's another camp. The other camp is it's not Mendilibar's fault. The board did not support him with the right players. They did not get him the players he needed, and therefore Mendilibar is working with the crap that he has. So there seems to be this mutual exclusivity, right? It's either Mendilibar is the problem or the board is the problem. The board, and we'll say scouting, right? Board, they're not getting him the right players. This is the argument that we're seeing, those two ends. And as it always is in football, Costa, it's never just one thing. It's not one or the other, right? Everything, it's a fluid, dynamic beast, both on and off the field. Things change in football. Things change in Greece. Things change with the club. Dynamics change. Everybody has a part to play in this. Is it true that Mendilibar has made major screw-ups this season? Absolutely. More recently, did Mendilibar screw up against Pauk? Absolutely. He got outcoached by Lucescu. He got outclassed by Lucescu. Now, at the same time, did we have the quality to beat Pauk? Of course we did. But were the right moves made over the summer to not only make this team better, but to make it Champions League ready? And I don't think the answer is yes. I also don't think the answer is 100% no, because there has to be balance. You have to look for those opportunities for the future, but then at the same time, you do have to address the needs now. And in retrospect, looking how we are now, I think, while I like the opportunity moves we made in some players, I believe that we probably prioritized the veterans or the more ready-made players in the wrong positions. We probably should have gotten a veteran center back instead of Gustavo Mancha, but that's a different discussion because there's nuance there. And we probably should have gotten some of the younger players for the front line, because the front line, we rely so much on the press and to get forward, but also to track back. Maybe we should have gotten somebody younger there, whether it was Santino, Andino, or otherwise, somebody faster, somebody that could give us a little bit more. We overstocked the midfield. by signing both Scipione and by signing Diogo Nascimento. Maybe if we didn't make both signings, we could have put more money towards a better winger or another one. So no one person is at fault entirely for this. Everybody shares some blame. Everybody, whether it's Mendilibar, whether it's the board for the players that they picked, but there's what I'm going to talk about in the transfer corner is the process by which the club makes transfers, because people have a completely incorrect idea of how the business gets done. And once you see the pipeline, the process of how it's done, it's very easy to identify where the issues are. So when you check that out, you'll get a little bit more insight. And this is part of the situation, and unfortunately a lack of communication from the club itself also leads to this, because people don't know what the thought process is. They don't know what's going on. And then when things get bad, they end up relying on conspiracy, this or that, because they don't know what the strategy is. If you knew the strategy, if you knew what the goal was, okay, they wanted to do this, they picked this, it didn't work. Fine, we try again. I see it with Premier League clubs. I listen to a lot of Premier League podcasts, and it's a lot more clear what the strategy is in most of those situations, at least compared to us.
I agree. It's not just Mendilibar, it's not just the board, it's not just the players. It's a mix of it all. As cliche as that sounds, we've actually even put a poll up so you can give us your opinion. Whose fault is the current situation? Mendilibar, board, decision makers, both players, and currently we have a tie, actually 33% for each. Mendilibar, decision makers, both. But yeah, I mean, look, we're, like I said, I think we're 2 games into January. There's a massive game coming up on Tuesday even, 10 o'clock local time kickoff against Leverkusen. Do you think we'll see something different, Ari? Do you think this is also a question of, PAOK was a cup game, maybe they just weren't up for it, they didn't give their 100%. European games are always different. There's more on the line for the players, potential transfers, scouts watching, players that want to move to a better league. How are you feeling ahead of Wednesday? Like, unless there's anything more you want to say about transfers, I feel like we're going to be going kind of back and forth on that topic today.
My feelings, I'll stick with my feelings about Champions League, because I know with all the questions and comments I see in the chat, we're going to go back to transfers anyway. So my feelings right now for Champions League are not good for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I get a lot of flack for this, because I put a lot of responsibility on Mendilibar for this season. And while I do agree with a lot of the opinions about the transfer summer, I'm sorry, up until this point, Costa, we have had, without factoring in the new signings of other clubs, we have had the best roster in Greece, regardless. It's been Mendilibar's choices not to play certain players, okay? It's been his choice not to use Pneumonides when our other wingers aren't doing well, or to even consider them. So if I'm judging him based on his decisions, he's done enough for me to be upset that he's not making the right calls. From everything we hear about what goes on in training, Scipione, for the last month, from multiple sources, is considered to be one of the best guys, putting the most effort and doing so well in training. Why can't he get used? Is he that much worse than Danny Garcia? I used to hear the bullshit. Oh, Scipione tries to get a yellow all the time. Danny Garcia gets more yellows per 90 than Scipione does.
Danny Garcia can't even catch up with his opponents to get a yellow card now.
He's one of the slowest players on the team, by the way, Danny Garcia. Need I remind you? Now, here's where I'm extremely frustrated. And it starts with some comments I heard on the radio today from Nikolakopoulos. Nikolakopoulos was defending, and he has been a big defender, not just him, other outlets as well, of Danny Garcia. Now, look, Danny Garcia last season had some really important games for us. He was really bad for most of them, but he had really good form for about 1 or 2 months. Nikolakopoulos today was shitting on Santiago Heze, the most important player in our midfield for the press, defending Danny Garcia, and then for the last week to 10 days has been making negative comments about Mouzakitis. Now, I don't care about Nikolakopoulos' opinion on football. I only listen to him for what he says about the signals about transfers. So if we ignore the opinion of him on football, which I don't think he understands the game to begin with, if we ignore his opinion on that and we focus on the signal that's being sent here, we need to get ourselves mentally ready for the renewal of Danny Garcia. Because there's only one reason why a guy like Nikolakopoulos is going to come out and defend Danny Garcia, why a person, a media personality will come out and defend one of the worst players on the team this season. And it is because Mendilibar is probably pushing behind the scenes to get him renewed. Danny Garcia is Mendilibar's guy. I get that. But for me, he is taking time away from the younger players that should be playing. I will be doing an analysis to show why Danny Garcia is the worst midfielder on the team. It's not just me saying this. The data is horrible. It's horrible. So if he was playing well, I'd say he's playing well. There's no conspiracy here. There's no vendetta against Danny Garcia. He's just not a great player. He's old. He's past it. It's time to move on. So this is what worries me, Costa, because I bet you Danny Garcia, we've already seen it. For some reason, he was first on the team sheet against PAOK. Danny Garcia will probably be a starter against Bayer Leverkusen. God, I hope I'm wrong.
Look, there's a comment in the chat from, I think, Thrylos about him not being able to catch a 38-year-old Tyson. It's not about being 38. You know, Tyson can be 38 and be super fit and athletic and have a bit of pace. Was Danny Garcia's 36 going 37? Doesn't matter. The point is, you see, what was it, in the 66th minute against PAOK, Tyson was with the ball down the left-hand side, made a sprint. Or was it even for the goal? I can't remember. Like, there was a point where Danny Garcia kind of was trying to tackle or keep up with Tyson, and the action ended and Danny Garcia kind of went down with his hands on his knees, wheezing, trying to breathe. So I'm kind of lost for words on that whole situation. And we know from our sources that this is not just a possibility, but in all likeliness and in all fairness, Mendilibar is going to ask for his renewal. For what? As you said, just taking time away from an investment. Well, Scipione, we paid 4 million euros. We paid 4 million euros. The club's got to protect its investment. And there seems to be, like you said, everyone criticizes Scipione because of his recklessness. He's young, he's hot-headed, he's come from Argentina. I heard Mendilibar actually responding to a question from Dimitris Spiliopoulos on Tanea, this interview that he did in the studio. And there's a question that's been clipped where he basically asks the coach, that you're notorious for not being a big fan of transfers. Why is that? And it's funny, the example he gave in his response was basically, it's not easy to bring a player from Argentina over to Europe and have them fit into a system and adapt to the style of play after, doing things for a different coach and coming to do things for me. And it was funny that he used the Argentina example. I don't know if that was intentional, subconscious, coming out, but Scipione showed some good things in the derby against Olympiacos, which we should have won with the penalty we didn't get. He looked all right, more than all right, when he came on at Arsenal. And I don't know what happened. I don't think any of us know what happened since then. So why do you renew a why would you renew a 36, 37-year-old when your midfield is stacked? So what we've seen is that the club is, and this is my interpretation. I might be overdoing it, but basically what it looks like is Mendilibar is untouchable. We won our first European trophy a year and a half ago. So he's untouchable. So we can't criticize him. We can't make decisions if he doesn't agree. They bought Cabela in April on a free. More weapons for the manager, good quality player. Manager doesn't want him. Doesn't play him. There's no issue whatsoever. So it doesn't fit my system, doesn't do what I want him to do on the pitch, not playing. Same with Yazici. Yazici came, what was it, like September 16th or something, the year before, but essentially he's a new transfer. And he did well in pre-season. And the manager played him as a 10. There's a picture of him like giving him a slap on the cheek after the game against Breda when he came off, like had a good game, like assists here, there. Never played as a 10 during the season, ever. Just got stuck out on the right wing where he was never tried during preseason. So the manager's in control of everything. And for argument's sake, it feels like we could go and buy Messi tomorrow, but if Messi doesn't do what Mendilibar wants, like the press or whatever, it doesn't care. So that to me is a bit of an issue. But then the question is, why do you renew him then? We renew him because we're scared, because we can't find what the evolution is from here? Or did we just peak with the Conference League and there's no ambition to do better? I don't believe that, to be clear. I think we got it wrong. Or there was not a good balance. Again, I'm not saying I don't like the Scipione signing. I don't like the Nascimento signing. I think, there's vision and there's, looking into the future with those players. But we didn't get what we needed to compete in the Champions League. So that's kind of where I'm at with this whole situation, man.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. There's a comment here from Marios K3948. What if the transfers aren't good enough to get more playing time? For example, Nascimento. We've seen that if the player is good enough, he surely gets the chance to prove himself. That's not true because Danny Garcia is playing, and I can tell you he is not fucking good enough. I'm sorry. That's the truth. Rodinei cannot hit a cross or a free kick to save his life, and he still takes them. Now, Costinha has not done what we expected, which was to take over that right back position. But guys, I'm sorry. Mendilibar rewards hard work. Yes, but that doesn't mean that he's playing the players that are the best. Mendilibar values hard work, but he also values what I call a social equity, right?
Ari, who do you think is who's getting the hard end of the stick? Like who should be playing? Yeah, like if we're saying he's not being fair with selection, then who should be playing?
Scipione.
Okay.
Scipione for sure. Scipione, Costa, we've been hearing for over a month from not just one source, different sources, that Scipione is looking amazing in training, working his ass off, like Diogo has. But I have to watch Danny Garcia get run out into the ground for 90 minutes? It's just too much, Costa. It's too much. Look, Diogo Nascimento, for various reasons, that one I understand. But here's the other problem, Costa. We don't have another box-to-box midfielder that can fulfill the role in the 10 like Chiquinho can. At the very least, Diogo will do the running, even if he's not good enough, or I don't want to say good enough. Let me change that. Even if he doesn't have the same tactical acuity that Chiquinho has in the press to make things happen.
It's positioning.
This is the
just positioning and tactical awareness doesn't have it. No.
He doesn't have that because when he was playing at Vizela, most of what he did was at the ball at his feet, but he runs up and back, man. Diogo can run all day, but for Mendilibar, that is less important. Not that it's not important. It is less important than what you do without the ball at your feet. And this is part of the problem. All of this is part of the problem. So guys like Scipione get the hard end of the stick. Pneumonidis, our academy graduate, Costa. The data doesn't look good in the second division. I'm the first that will say that.
But that's because of who he's playing with.
Exactly. Exactly. There is no reason that Pneumonidis should not be getting a look in the cup games. We have relegated this kid to the B team, and for what? For what? To support Rubio? Guys, and I don't care who this pisses off. I don't give a shit how the academy wins. I don't give a shit if the academy wins titles. What I give a shit about is if the kids are learning how to play in the system that the first team is playing in. Do you think Bout cares about winning titles in the academy? No. They are playing the kids in a system that is similar to what Lucescu wants, and he's using him. Is he desperate because he doesn't have the players and the depth? Maybe, but he's using them. He is using them. We are not using them at all. Musakitis doesn't count. He's a known quantity from last season. But Pneumonidis had an amazing preseason. He was playing the first couple games of the season. Are you telling me you've seen enough from the winger options that we have to say that Pneumonidis doesn't deserve it? And by the way, before this match week, I pulled the data on the wingers. We do not have a winger in the top 10 in Greece. None of our wingers, despite being among the highest paid in the league, are in the top 10 in the Greek league. That is a joke. It's a joke.
What do you think about the Strefezza situation? Because there's been some talk in the last couple of days that he's on his way out. Don't know if that's, proof will be in the pudding on that one. But when you did the scouting report earlier in the summer, one of the things we saw from that was his effectiveness as a right winger in terms of goal contributions, far more on the right hand side than on the left. But again, we have not seen that at all this season. So do you think there's any hope for that player? Would you still give him the chance? And do you see him getting any chances on the right hand side?
The funny thing is, Costa, in the beginning of the season, Strefezza did play a couple games on the right. But the complaint people had was, well, this is a winger that can't score goals. And my concern in the scouting report was he doesn't play one-on-one. He's a shooting winger. Mm-hmm. He can cross and he has stamina. I didn't know if he could, because of the way Como plays, I wasn't sure if Strefezza could assimilate to our press. I think he's all right in the press. Among our front line, he gets the most interceptions among the front line. He recovers the ball the most of the front line when he plays per 90. So I think that part of his game is fine, but because he can't beat players one-on-one like Gelson Martins can or like Daniel Podence can, people just shit on him. He's, I think, our second highest assists per 90 on the team when he plays. But it's one of those situations where he's the scapegoat this season. People call him Tsiloulis, people call him whatever they call him. He's not a 1v1 winger. And he was our most expensive transfer this summer. We didn't pay 8 million for him. We paid, depending on which source you believe, the Italians say we paid 5 million cash plus bonus. Our other sources say 4 million plus bonus. So if you split the difference, 4.5 million we paid plus bonus. It's the biggest purchase we made this summer. And the way he's playing, even though it feels like I'm always coming to the defense of him, he's not worth the money we paid. But right now, there's no winger that is on this team that is worth the money that we're paying them. Daniel Podence is not worth the loan fee plus the wage he's getting, which we know is significant. Gelson Martins wants a renewal for over 2 million euros net. Costa, is he worth that right now?
No.
Is he worth that? Some people say yes because of the way he gets the ball forward, but the end product is dog shit. So this is the situation for me.
You have to have the conviction, the ability to go out and get a deal done for a better player. It just feels like we're clinging on to the past, and we're not afraid, just like we're so afraid. Yeah, we're so afraid of getting it wrong with a high profile player that needs a high transfer fee. I'm sorry, but the way it's panning out, like these 5-6 million, not even 5 million transfer fees, and that ceiling, we have to break it. There's no excuse anymore from from a financial fair play point of view. And I think you've been a strong advocate of saying maybe we shouldn't have signed like 2 young players in the summer. We should have signed 1 good player instead of 2 young players.
Yeah.
And that is what we were saying, actually. If you go back to our discussions from the summer, I was screaming adamant that we need 1 really good central midfielder to pair up with Mouzakitis. And then at the back, it was clear, like, you're going to go into Champions League with Thrylos, who's injury prone, Pirola, also a little bit here and there, and Kalogeropoulos and Biancon. Biancon as a third centre-back is taking minutes away from Kalogeropoulos, one of the best centre-backs in the Greek league the last couple of years, statistically. So, yeah, I don't know if this is a transition year, or actually, I do believe it is a transition year. I've said that before. It's a transition back to Champions League. It's a different level. And on the one hand, I want to say that we've fought and scrapped and shown at times that we can be very competitive and, put up a good fight against the best in Europe. But is that enough? And frankly, that argument kind of sadly goes out the window when you can't beat Paphos at home and you can't finish off that game against PSV. And I'm sorry to shit on Danny Garcia again, but if Danny Garcia wasn't caught in no man's land, then Mouzakitis wouldn't have had to come over and make that yellow card, that tackle that led to the free kick.
Even the second goal, Costa.
And Rodinei, Rodinei and Danny Garcia completely out of position. And again, there was another comment in the chat earlier. The loyalty, like the level of loyalty to players like Danny Garcia, Rodinei, Chiquinho. Chiquinho, I take out of the conversation. For me, I have nothing bad to say about the player. Like, yes, the beginning of the season, he frustrated me because he's not the 10 that's going to, get 15, 20 goal contributions a season. But that's kind of not his fault also that he's played out of position. And he runs his ass off. He doesn't, he doesn't show me the presence or non-presence of Danny Garcia on the field. It's like, what are you doing, mate? It's like, yeah, you can play a nice pass forward, like one in 2 or 3. But so Rodinei and Danny Garcia, if you're Vagelis said, I don't know if you heard what Vagelis said on Wednesday. It was like, Vageli, what are your conclusions from the Bout game? It's like, 3 players should never play for this club ever again. And Danny Garcia, Rodinei, and Yazici, according to him. But that's it, man. It's like, how you can't renew him in the summer. And Rodinei, just no, mate. Okay, get fit. He doesn't look fit. he still looks a bit overweight. Stop, we love the guy. He'll always be in our hearts as part of that team and the vibes and everything. But stop
Yeah.
talking and start doing. It was out on socials again the other day, saying I think he was addressing some of the criticism he's been facing from
Yeah.
fans, from media, etc. It's like just do your job. Like get
Exactly.
fit, go out on the pitch, and prove everyone wrong. That's it. That's what you have to
Exactly.
do.
And to be clear, none of us are advocating for him to be fired. We're just advocating for him to get off of like some of these player choices that he just can't seem to let go. He's like a desperate ex sometimes with when it comes to like Rodinei or when it comes to Danny Garcia, especially. It's like, come on, man, just let them go. And that's the more frustrating part. But I don't think anybody. Well, can't say that. Some people some people do want Mendilibar gone, but not it. I think that's a minority at this point.
Do you think this is valid? What Comrade
So there's
Ari
actually
says?
a couple comments I wanted to address. This is one of them from Comrade Aries. Guys, the situation is simple. Ownership blames indirectly Mendilibar for bringing players that he can't trust. Mendilibar won't budge, so he will get fired at some point in the spring. This is I don't know. I don't think Aris intended it to be that way, but this is a very loaded comment because without giving away so much of what I talk about in the transfer corner, there are so many different. I don't think ownership is hanging it on Mendy. I don't think that's the right. Let's start there. They're not hanging anything on him. They believe in him. I mean, even the individuals will say that are not happy with Mendilibar, for the most part, want to, what's the word I'm looking for, Costa? Protect him, right? There's a huge respect for Mendilibar, whether it's from staff that disagree with his decisions, even players that aren't getting used by him. Mendilibar still commands this respect from all of them, which is really important because if that was gone, there's no hope that this can turn around. But because he still commands that respect from so many individuals and people, there is a chance he can turn this around. It's on him to do that. I don't think necessarily that they're trying to hang that they're anticipating that they will be blaming him and things like that. I don't think that's the case. I do think they do trust him. Now, if he continues to fumble the ball, yeah, of course, they're going to get rid of him. Doesn't matter. Marinakis has renewed players, not just for us, but for Forest, players, coaches, and then they're gone 2 weeks later. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So that I don't think it's more like of a deeper conspiracy, if that makes sense. It's just we know how this works. They will support him until they don't. It's that simple. He continues to make mistakes. He'll be gone. He will absolutely be gone. There, Costa. There was also from Lakis Gavalas, and this is really important here because um, this question he has. He said, "Can you tell me what GM or scouter who knows Mendilibar's style would say that Taremi is the right player for you now that Costulas left?" And this is another loaded question for a couple of reasons, because there is a reason why we wanted another forward, another striker in Taremi, and not not a Chiquinho backup, in addition to what we had already brought in. And the reason was Mendilibar said, I have my midfielders, and okay, now for the 10 position, I have Gabela, I have Yazici. I don't want any more players. I already have too many. That's it. I'll use them if I need more than Chiquinho, and that's it. That's the answer. The club wanted more firepower outside of El Kabi. They brought Taremi, and it's worked out for the most part. Maybe not against the best competition, but Taremi scored plenty of goals, enough to make
Tarim,
his transfer be worth it.
Taremi's
But
done his job, man. It's like what, a
right,
2 million transfer fee for probably the best ever Iranian player. Okay, you could, yeah. The guy's what scored 17 goal contributions. Like, it's
16, 16, I
okay.
believe.
I
Just one
mean,
less.
the guy's done his job. Yeah, I can agree with the comment to a point that there are little to no similar characteristics between Costulas and Taremi, particularly in terms of running intensity. That's something that is lacking. Now, was the logic? I think the logic was this is a player that's available on the market
Free,
for a
yeah,
very, very
or
small
not free,
fee.
but
It's almost free, man, for a player
yeah,
like that, because you know he's going to get you 20 goal contributions. I mean, we're in January and
easy,
he's almost
yeah.
got 20. So, he comes on as a
And
sub, he scores a couple of
Yarmchuk was hurt. Let's not forget that Yarmchuk was hurt.
True. There was this whole kind
That
of
mystery injury, we
yeah,
could not figure out what it
yeah,
was.
yeah. There was that at the beginning of the season, and if you look at it from a more playing point of view, I think the idea was LKB number one.
Exactly.
Yaremchuk can play up top as well, and
Mm-hmm.
and Taremi's the joker, like can play behind the striker, can assist, can score goals. Not necessarily going to be that out and out striker up front because he can't fulfill that role in terms of intensity in the press. And we saw that against Baug. We've seen that in Europe when he's come on. So, that whole discussion about do we have the best front three in the league? Yeah, we probably do. But is it working? Is it optimal? Probably not. Because Yaremchuk in particular is not the player we saw in preseason. He's a confidence player.
Yeah,
He's got
100%.
no confidence. He came on early against Bauk, showed nothing. There's no more cup anymore. That was his thing last season in particular. So, yeah, there's another interesting question actually about Taremi. Do you think he'll go at the end of the window?
You know what's funny? Because I spoke to Taremi's agent about this, and they shrugged the whole thing off. Sorry, I should read the comment for the audio listeners. I didn't mean to knock that down. Sorry. This question that Costa's referencing from Arvin's comedy channel, 3118. Also, do you think that Emmy's waiting to see if we stay in the Champions League before he decides to move to Forest or stay in Olympiacos? So I spoke to the agency about it, and they kind of like brushed it off. You know what I mean? They didn't deny it. They didn't say it wasn't true, but they kind of were just like, that they didn't seem like it was a serious thing. But I would wager, as I've said to everybody about the transfer window, the Leverkusen result will see dominoes fall one way or another. We beat Leverkusen. The Champions League hopes are alive and well. You will see things moving. Watch Andre Luiz progress further. Watch movement of other players really go. If we lose to Leverkusen, some players will be off and sold, and there will be a situation, but nothing is going to be done before that. Nothing's going to get done probably till the last week of January at the earliest. That is for sure, man. That is for sure. There is a discussion on the Forest end for Taremi. Our sources in England have told us he's at the top of the short list, and it's true. So I know on the Olympiacos side of things, they don't necessarily believe it's a reality, but it is a discussion. But this is not one of those things. This is definitely happening. Dominoes have to fall for it to happen. If we lose to Leverkusen, I think the likelihood does go up.
I think that's a nice segue to the Leverkusen game. And before we get there, we asked the question, whose fault is the current situation? We've got 35% of you saying Mendilibar, 39% of you, the board / decision makers, that's winning right now, 22% think both decision makers and the coach, and 4% of you, the players. So we're going to end that poll. Also, guys, we're coming up to the end of the show. It's nearly midnight Greek time. Wherever you're watching us, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, the biggest international community of Olympiacos fans around the world. We have 20 likes, and there's been hundreds of you coming in. It takes 1 second to hit the like button. Costs you nothing, means everything to us. Help us keep growing and continuing this effort of Thrylos International. Leverkusen.
I mean,
they
lost.
They lost again.
Yes.
Yeah, they lost to Hoffenheim away last time we played them. I mean, we talk about history with German clubs not being great.
Yeah,
that's an understatement. If you think about Frankfurt the last couple of years, who's the other team that Freiburg, the other effing
God,
team.
I hate them. We should have beaten them, but anyway.
Bayern Munich 3-2 at home. We were pressing at the end for an equalizer. They scored. Was it Thrylos scored that goal? Look, in these kinds of games, historically, you put your money on Olympiacos to win the game. It's a game at home, high stakes, sellout crowd, high pressure, do or die. After a bad result, time to bounce back. Everything's there. Everything there's in terms of storyline, even history against this club. Our biggest win in Europe comes against Leverkusen, that 6-2 game. Goals from, can we name the goal scorers? I think Giannakopoulos got one. Zetterberg scored. Did Zelias even score? Giovanni scored from a corner. Did he? Like a header?
Man.
Djordjevic hat-trick. What am I talking about? Djordjevic hat-trick that game. So Djordjevic hat-trick, Giannakopoulos, Zetterberg, and I think Giovanni got one.
I think you know what? I'm just gonna look it up because I can't remember. But no, you're right. It was a Djordjevic hat trick. Giannakopoulos, Giannakopoulos had one. Zetterberg had. I forgot Zetterberg scored in that game. Completely forgot.
Free kick. Yeah. Who was the other one?
It was so Giannakopoulos, Djordjevic hat trick.
Zelias. Who scored?
I actually don't. It doesn't show me who else scored. I don't see a goal from Zelias. Maybe because it's so old they lost.
Was it counted as an own goal? It was a weird.
Yeah, there was an own goal here.
Dax. I like to say.
So I don't know who that would have been for. Anyway, but that's the. Actually, were there 2 own goals?
Oh, here.
Huh.
Yeah. Own goal. It was a corner, and Giovanni got onto the ball, and it kind of deflected, and it got counted as an own goal. Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah.
Stellaras then scored. Who was in the team that day? Eleftheropoulos in goal. Venetidis at left back.
It says there was an own goal. Eleftheropoulos own goal.
I've got Bernd Schneider.
The first goal.
Patsadzoglu right back. Anatolakis, Adzas, Giannakopoulos, Karembe, Giovanni, Djordjevic, Zelias, Zetterberg.
Oh my God. The bench. Ninyadis, Alexandris, Oforikwe.
That was game 1. And then we went to Cyprus to play Maccabi like a home game, and we lost 3-0. Ayik Beni. God.
Anyway, I hope history repeats itself, but like they don't look good.
No doubt. Could it repeat itself in exactly the same manner?
I really hope it does, man, because they don't look good, which is a good thing, and they don't have a lot of depth either. You know, I was talking to some people, and we were going through the depth chart, and they're not that they don't have a deep roster, or at least right now they don't. I don't know if the situation was better earlier in the season. But it's not they're not playing well, and they don't have a lot of depth either. It's still going to be a very tough game, but this is going to be our best chance of salvaging this Champions League campaign. And there was a comment from Greek Swede here. First, he had asked if we thought we could progress, but he had also said that when people were saying the draw against Bafos would kill us, that we were hanging shit saying it's not a big deal. I was the one that was saying I still think we're going to make knockout football. And I still believe that we can. I still believe that we will. But at the same time, I also said, if we don't, we're all going to be looking at that Bafos game and talking about how Mendilibar dropped the ball with the European list, in respect to the European list. Look, I'm going to say this here. This will be my hot take, Costa. If Danny Garcia starts, we lose. If he doesn't start, I think we win this game.
Is that a hot take?
Is it even a hot take? Probably not. But I'm making that statement. Like, Danny Garcia doesn't start, I think we win this game. If he starts, we lose the game.
I can't understand why Santiago Esse wouldn't start that game on Tuesday. Honestly, again, okay, I watched the game against Real Madrid. I was there, and I've said this many times before. I'll say it again. It's one thing to watch Santiago Esse when you're watching him on TV, and it's another thing entirely when you go to the stadium and you see what he does in the big games, especially. He covers so much ground, man. Like, again, just for the way that we play, to be able to have any chance of winning, I think it will be suicidal not to start him. And similarly, I think it will be not just detrimental, but suicidal to start Danny Garcia against the German team that runs up and down the pitch all game. Honestly, I can feel it on Tuesday. I hope it's not my call. It's not your call. The manager knows best. But if I see that name on the team sheet an hour before kickoff on Tuesday, I'm going to be going into that game with very low expectations. Very low expectations. We've talked about it already. I don't see what the manager sees. I don't see what he sees in training with the other players, but I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah. I know that we've heard from folks that Mendilibar is considering starting him on Tuesday, which sounds normal.
Yeah.
But surely I think let's talk about lineup. Zolagis in goal.
Of course.
I got to go with Costinha at right back, but I doubt that's going to happen.
No, it'll be Rodinei.
And then Pirola's back.
Hopefully.
Pirola said he's ready to play. So I'd go with that. Pirola, Rezos. Ortega.
Of course.
That's not changing. Muzakitis, Esse. Chiquinho. Trio.
Naturally.
And then Gelson is one. And Podence. Who are you going to play?
Strefezza hasn't looked bad in Europe.
But I'd start Strefezza on the right and Gelson on the left. Just have them switching over. Podence has looked rubbish for a while now.
Yeah, he's injured, man. That's the clearly.
Is El Kabi back? I've seen that Morocco lost her.
They did, yeah. Or at least I saw Senegal scored in extra time, but I wasn't paying attention.
Senegal scored. It's 123rd minute. Yeah, so it should be ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry for Morocco. Did you hear shit went down in that game today? They got a penalty, and apparently the Senegal team walked off and then what's his name? Sadio Mane kind of convinced his teammates to go back out on the pitch and see out the game. Morocco missed the penalty, and then Senegal scored.
Oof.
And Mike Skobakos just said it's over, 1-0. So, well, that means that Morocco is not going to be going to the king to celebrate winning the trophy.
No.
So that means El Kabi should be taking the plane back to Athens tomorrow.
Yes.
Hopefully ready to play on Tuesday. Where he's played, 60 minutes today?
Yeah. I doubt he starts, though, man. With that trip, there's no way he's going to start. He for sure he comes on as like a substitute. But here's the thing, man. El Kabi came back from the last AFCON when we won the Conference League. He had confidence, comes back. He missed a sitter in the final today. How's that going to impact his mentality?
What are you going to do? Start Yaremchuk?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does, to be honest.
Maybe.
Almost nothing surprises me anymore with this manager. There's always something in the lineup in these big games where you're like, what's that about? So I wonder what's that about decision it's going to be on Tuesday. We have a poll going on, predictions for Tuesday's game: win, draw, loss. So far, we've got 45% saying win, 27% draw, and loss, 27%. But you've already said your take. Danny Garcia in the lineup, we lose. Danny Garcia not in the lineup, win. What if Danny Garcia comes on, Ari? Is that a draw?
I think if he comes on in the second half and we're winning, I think it would be scary, but I think we come out ahead. As long as he comes on like a Mendy Libar sub, like 75, 80th minute. But it's more the starting, That's what I worry about.
At this stage where we are right now, you couldn't hope for that. These are two fixtures now against Leverkusen and Ajax, which could be a hell of a lot worse. Both have had torrid seasons, Ajax in particular. And really, in this kind of game, this is everything. And to a degree, I think that the fact that there's been so much negativity, the fact that there's been so much focus on the other teams and what's going on outside, there hasn't been too much attention on what's going on inside with the players, the club, the manager, how the manager is preparing the team. And that's super important. Like, yes, we have heard the mood is down, normal after a defeat at home, 2-0 against BAUK. You need to get that confidence boost back. But man, you've got to be preparing the team mentally for this game. And, we've talked about this many times before. Find ways to motivate them. Like, how can you not be motivated to go out on Tuesday and give it absolutely everything and go out for the win? Last game at home, lads. You're not going to play in this atmosphere anymore at home. Ajax away. It's a good game, like good place to go and close it out. But you want to play in the knockouts. You want to be playing knockout football in February. Go out and show it. You have to go out and give a performance on Tuesday.
Yeah. My only hope would be that even if the confidence is down, because that's what we've heard. We've heard a lot of concern about the locker room, lack of confidence. And my only hope would be, the Karaskaki's not going to turn on anybody from the whistle, right? They're not going to be screaming or whistling at the players from the beginning. It's all season. It's been a fortress for us. The fan element, the support has been great. The castle really has well and truly been back. So my hope is that they get, even if there's a lack of confidence going into this, they're not feeling They're not feeling like they can do it. My hope is that when they get into the Karaiskaki as it's roaring, that it inspires something, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not so sure, as much as I've heard Mendilibar complain about our performances, going in and screaming at the players at halftime, and they look even worse in the second half. I don't know if I necessarily believe he can motivate the players at this point. I don't know. But I'm not feeling good about it. My hope is that they will step on that field. They'll hear the fans in the stadium, and it will propel them to do what we've seen them do, especially in the latter matches of the Champions League so far for us, following the Barcelona game. That's what I'm really hoping for, because that's what it's going to take. And then maybe if we can get a win, if they can find something, if the players can dig deep and find something to give us a win against Bayer Leverkusen, mark my words, it will change the season for us. We will see the team will just be a rocket ship, and they will come back. Mendilibar will look like a genius again. Everybody will be happy. Nobody will complain. I'm just praying for that, man. I'm praying for that. I know I've been saying since the beginning we're making knockout football, but I'm praying for that. I don't think it's a high likelihood, but I'm praying for it.
That's it. That's all we got. Hopes and prayers, is it, for Tuesday then?
It is. It is. Costa, any final comments before we go ahead and close this up?
No, man. We'll be back on Wednesday, like I said. Looking forward to the game on Tuesday. I mean, there was no game this weekend, which feels a bit odd. And now we know that Asteras game that was postponed is going to be between two derbies. So
yeah,
be careful what you wish for, what you ask for in this case.
But if we screw this game up and then we postpone the game for that, oh my God, forget about it. What a waste. Anyway, guys, for those of you that are still here, thank you so much for staying with us, and thank you so much for interacting. Doing these shows is always more fun and better when we get fan interaction and we can talk to you. As Costa said, we'll be back on Wednesday for Greek Wednesday, so look for that. Check out Patreon for Transfer Corner. That should get uploaded tonight, so we'll have all the latest information. And when I say that we're going to talk about everything, we are going to talk about everything. How the transfers are done, the process, so you guys understand better. So thank you all again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out on socials. Any questions, hit us up on socials, and do your prayers, guys. Do your prayers. Send your best wishes. If you're going to the stadium, be as loud as you can be for this club so that we can hopefully get something over the line. Thank you guys again. I'm Adi. This is Costa. We're Thrylos International, by the fans, for the fans. And we will see you all next time.